A world where equality is just another euphemism for mediocrity, where participation is more highly valued than achievement, where just enough to get by is the new standard of excellence. There is a small minority of people who fight back against such apathy, who struggle daily to reach new heights. These brave few are the hope for the future, the bright shining light for the next generation. They are the ones who will lead us to the places we have never dreamed of, to the undiscovered country, to reach goals only a few can even begin to imagine. Unfortunately, none of those people could be here tonight, so kick back and relax. Prepare yourself for several hours of fun, friendship, fascinating conversation, and fabulous music. All those F's, that's an alliteration and kind of a radio trick. Speaking of radio, you're listening to the most popular radio station in the history of broadcast radio, at least among stations that originate from Chris's living room. It's Curious Times. Your host is a curious listener. Here she is, Chris.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Curious Times. It's Wednesday, December 15th, and you now have 364 shopping days until my birthday. I always say that every year. It's so corny. Welcome to the show. Jen Young is here tonight, and I guess that Corinne DeWinter, Ms. Corinne DeWinter, is going to jump on and have a conversation, and that will be interesting. And buckle your seatbelts, kids. You never know what's going to happen when Corinne is around. So, Corinne, are you going to call in on Skype, or are you going to just go with that? Anyway, let me tell you what's coming up. What is coming up is Alva Dutton is here tomorrow. Kimber is here Saturday. Sunday, Pamela Vincent. Monday, Diana Monroe. Tuesday, Lisa Nolan Shalosky. Wednesday is maybe a day off. And Thursday, a week from tonight, it's Jen Young and Amy Kavanaugh. Stop, drop, and think. And yeah, you should call in on Skype. And so, oh, look at that, Sharon Double. Who else? That's a old name from VTR, I guess. And I'm sure there's been about a bazillion Sharons, and now I have to try and remember which Sharon it is. But anyhow, okay. So that's what's coming up. I did manage to go out as promised and get some beer, and I'll crack one later on. Got some Guinness and I got this other one, which is oh, come on, don't fail me now. Harp. And I remember when I saw it on there, I had on the shelf, I had to get it because way last time I bought beers a long time ago, which would have been around, it was for the St. Patrick's Day, and I remember I got a mixed package of Irish beer, let's just say Irish beer. And and then the funny thing was is that when I had the first one, it's in cans, right? And so I got tipped it up like that, and there was something clanking around in there, and it freaked me out. I was right live on the air too, and I'm like, oh my God, what is in my beer? And everybody's like, calm down. It's just a ball that they put in there for draft beer or whatever, like to make it perfectly foam or do whatever, put a perfect head, you know. And I was just like freaking like there was going to be a freaking mouse or something. I'm like, oh, I do not want to know. I do not want to know what's in the bottom of this can that I've drank the whole thing of now. It was awful. And so anyway, but one of the kinds of beer that was in that mixed pack was this Harp beer. And I remember then the night that Kathy crossed over, and later on I went to grab a beer. It was on the show, I think, too, and it was a Harp beer. And it was, I didn't even notice that one of the kinds of beer was Harp beer, but Kathy used to always be on about the Harp the harp, HAARP. It's been so long since I talked about harp. Like the electric way, like the harp. You know what I mean? Like those electronic. Yeah, they use the harp to manipulate the weather. And so anyway, when I saw that on the shelf, I didn't even but I had to it was because I thought of Kathy right away, and so I was like, well, I better have to get that kind of. So then I get to the counter, and they don't take an American Express. I prefer to use my American Express for everything. And so I pull out my MBNA MasterCard and do the whole 9 yards and everything like this. And then the guy in this lineup of people, beer store, winter, Christmas, after work hours, it was like, oh my God. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. It happened today. It was my turn. And so, how are you today, sir? And I'm like, oh my God. Seriously. I said, ma'am. And, oh, sorry. And then my card got refused. It got rejected. So I was like all beside myself going, oh my God, I must have got hacked. Somebody's like done something bad with my account or something. And so I got home, and I don't use that card almost never. And so I got home and called, and they said I didn't ever activate it when I got it, when I clearly remember activating it. But I was just so relieved that there wasn't a problem, like that someone stole it all and everything like that. So I do have that sorted out now. I got a cheap bottle of Irish cream as well, and usually it gives me heartburn, but I do like a little bit of that with some ice. Now my freezer's so full, if you were listening yesterday, I don't have no place for an ice cube tray. So I have a glass in the freezer right now with a little bit of water in the bottom. And so that little bit of water in the bottom will freeze, and then I can pour the Irish cream in, and then it can be like on ice. Oh, it's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Unbelievable. And so this is it. So when I went out to start the car, it like went to start just like it did the day before yesterday, and then it cut. And I'm like, oh no, please have enough juice in the battery for a second time. And it did. It fired up. It started, and I went and I filled up the gas tank since I left my car running for 86 hours yesterday by accident. And so, anyway, there you go. That's my update. Saturday, I'm meeting with the sister-in-law, and it's still going to be freaking cold. So I'm hoping my car starts. I'm going to have to get out there tomorrow and start it again and maybe just go drive somewhere. I don't know. I don't want to. Especially on icy bad roads, I don't want to drive if I don't have to, because you're giving yourself risk one extra time you don't need to. But anyway, okay, Jen's here. She is our friend, and she's a psychic, medium, clairvoyant, channel, a healer, a spiritual empath. She sees everything. She's a mother. She sees, hears, tastes everything. She is therefore a mother. But she sees everything, and she uses all these senses to find, to connect with spirit. And she really enjoys and does really well with sharing that information with compassion and great sensitivity. And she possesses and shares the insight and wisdom of being an eternal student and teacher of the spiritual gifts that are constantly awakening within her. And she's able to help you seek the source within to find your pathway to self-awareness, understanding, and to that link we all carry within to the source of all creation. Contact Jen Young. You can go and find out more about her and figure out how to get in touch with her at her beautiful website at www.jenyoung.ca. Hey Jen, how are you?
I am great. Thank you for asking. How are you? Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you? I understand that the person that loves hearing that does faithfully listen in archives. So
Yes, I know. So, hey, how are you?
hey,
Hey,
how
how are you?
hey,
And that is for our dear Karamita.
Yeah,
Alicia. I know.
that's right, Karamita. So
Karamita.
what's going on? You getting all ready for craziness?
I'm trying to get ready for Christmas, but we've got snow, and then it froze really hard. My car doors actually froze shut. That's how cold it was here. And so I'm thinking, I think I've unlocked this, and apparently I did, but I'm yarding on the old car door trying to get it open. So we live in the north, right? We need, we get that. It's funny because we don't expect it here on the island. We don't, we live in Canada, we live where we get snow, but we haven't had real snow for the last 3 years, so why would we expect it? We get our wet, rainy weather, and that's fine. What was that? I can't hear you.
Expect the unexpected.
I know. So what I find very amusing, but it's kind of one of those I don't understand moments, is the city of Victoria has run over budget on their budget for salting the roads and snow removal for the year already, and we're only like how many days into we're not even into winter yet. We're still in fall.
Jen, if they go calendar year, then they're at the end of it.
But
you know what I mean?
I know, but they've gone over budget for their whole season, and it's like, are you
for their season? Not
for their season?
Maybe
And you think, well, they haven't had to use their money for the last 3 years, so why wouldn't you just keep it in the pot? But no, they've painted rainbow crosswalks. They're building bike lanes. They're doing this, that, and the other thing. And you think, why would you take money from snow removal? Because we're going to get snow at some point. And
zero-based budgeting. If you don't use it, you lose it.
But not in municipalities or cities. It's called functions. And each function, I know all this. I've been to budget meetings. I know.
Jen Young for mayor.
Jen Young I know. I'll be the mayor of the Malahat. And I'll fix people up here, and they're from my household.
I'll put a sign in my yard.
Who would vote for me? The Curious Times will vote for me. Yeah.
If it's possible for me to get 2 votes in the presidential election in the United States of America, it's possible for you to get some votes for mayor in Canada.
Oh, that's true. So I will run for mayor of Malahat next time.
So Corinne wants to jump on and yak with you about some things, and
that would be good.
We'll just bring her on, and she needs no introduction. Hey, Corinne. Her reputation far precedes her.
Way too far. Hi, you guys.
Hey,
Hello.
Corinne.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Jen.
Hey,
okay.
how are you?
I just want to mention. I'm okay. I just want to mention the other day, Jen sent me a little video, and of course it was on her patio, I guess, her porch.
A big deck.
And it was, the deck, and the deck is full of snow. You know it's freezing cold, and yet there's a hummingbird feeder sitting there, and with hummingbirds all around it. And I was amazed, because I did not know hummingbirds stuck around in the cold. And I wouldn't have believed it, Jen, if I didn't see that video.
They are, I just love my little hummingbirds. And, it's funny because I think that was, either the same day or the day after a friend had stopped by from the interior. He's just this big, wonderful, soft-hearted man. He's a big biker. And he couldn't believe the hummingbirds either. We were watching them as we sat in the living room having coffee. And, they were dive bombing each other, and I bring the feeders in and defrost them in the morning because everything's frozen solid, and they buzz around and they're, yapping to get these things thawed out so they can eat. But I wasn't feeding them, and then they showed up, and I thought, gee, they have to eat. So I made up their little food and hang them out and defrost them and throw food out for the other little birds that are there. So
right.
It's I know the hummingbirds are so sweet though. They're just they're fat and roly-poly and they're here for the duration. They have to keep warm. So there's a lot of little birds. I really enjoy them. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, Jen, how much, how long does the water stay okay for them? I mean, they must solely depend on you because where else is it?
Right now they would. So I counted 8 little birds, 8 hummingbirds around one feeder. So I hung 2 feeders up, and they're both full. So depending on how much they're eating, I'd fill them up probably every couple of days. Yeah, 8 birds a humming, every couple of days.
So the water doesn't freeze in the meantime, Jen?
No, it freezes at night. So I like I said, I defrost it. It's sugar water mix. It's a syrup that you make.
Right.
And they eat that because usually they're eating the pollen off the flowers and that, or plants that are out, but everything's frozen solid now. So, and I guess some of them are domestic and some of them do hibernate. Some of them migrate, fly south. But these ones are domestic and they haven't settled down for the long winter's nap. So, and it's funny, once one comes around, they tell their friends and they all start coming. They're beautiful little creatures.
Right. Oh, so, they are. They're like little jewels,
That's what I think.
Yeah. And did you know that way back, the Native Americans would actually make not shawls, I can't remember, but they would make these coats out of hummingbird feathers. Can you imagine how many hummingbird feathers it would take to make something like that?
God, no, I couldn't because we found a couple of the little feathers on the deck and they're so tiny, like you can imagine, right? And you just think, oh my goodness, like that's amazing. I've got a couple of nests from the small wrens or chickadees, whatever we want to call them, probably got proper names. But I haven't been fortunate enough to find a hummingbird nest. I believe they reuse them. Hummingbirds make Amy crazy. I love the hummingbirds. They talk and they'll befriend you. If you save one, they recognize you. So they're bugs. Well, then you can't come to Tofino, Amy, because they're all up here. So you'll have to rethink your visit. Oh, you're so funny.
So what kind do you guys have? You've got the ruby-throated, and are there more than one kind?
Oh yeah, there's more than one kind. I'd have to get a book out. There's about 2 or 3 different kinds. The ruby throats are really prolific. And you can tell because their throats are bright, bright red and they're fluorescent or iridescent. They're gorgeous. I just love them.
I do
So
too. They're very magical, I think, you know?
they are.
So I wanted to, yeah, definitely. What was that woman's name? It's Hummingbird in Dakota. Uh, my God. Do you know what word I'm talking? Shoot. Wilela. Isn't that such a pretty name?
That is a pretty name. Now, is that, oh gosh, she was married to Chris Christopherson. You know this one, Rita Coolidge. Is that her? Is that?
Yeah, they have that group, her and a sister and a niece or something, Walela.
Mm-hmm.
Did the album Walela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Rita Coolidge.
Play the song.
That's cool. I always like. Yeah, so is that, but there's another Native American artist named Walela too. I think she's on Donald's label, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to research that.
Oh, crap.
That's Christy, Amy. If you hold the feeders in your hand, the hummingbirds will come right up to you and eat out of them.
Yeah, that only happened to me once, Jen, and I was thrilled.
I know, because they're just so incredible.
Yeah. So I thought, now I don't know what you think about this idea, Jen. I'm reading this book called Unfinished Business by What the Dead Can Teach Us About Life. And it's by James Van Praagh, who I'm not totally crazy about, but this. Oh, okay. Cause I heard some stuff about him from one of our mutual friends and it wasn't anything good. But anyways.
Okay, no, all I know is what I've read. I've read Talking to Heaven. I read that book after my dad died, and it really resonated with me. I've read a couple of his other books, and they have resonated. I saw him when he first started reading people, and he was on the Sally Jesse Raphael show, believe it or not. And Amy loved him till she met him. We'll have to find out why, Amy. Why is that? And is he as authentic as he comes across? I don't know. But I like what he said in those books, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I like about him. I like his writing.
Yeah, it's easy to read, and it's not totally fluffy and kind of, ignorant. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, so I haven't read Unfinished Business. It's something, no, I haven't read it, but I've read parts of it. Or, something's coming up here about that. I can't remember. Keep talking about it, Corrine, because it's how we have to finish what's going on. I don't know. There's something really, maybe I did get the book. I don't know. I've read so much. Go ahead.
You might have read it because it is a little bit older, Jen. It's like 7 or 8 years old, so you might have already read it, So anyways, he brings up all of these examples of why it's important to settle your business here before you go to the other place. And I'll tell you something that happened to me last week. My cousin came over. He was drunk and he called me from a phone booth, not a phone booth. he was at a gas station. He said his wife just kicked him out and he needed a place to go. Could he come over? And I said, well, can you drive? And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, I'll come pick you up. And he said, no, I'll get there. So he got here and he was all wasted. Little did I know, he's had an opiate problem his whole life. Well, for the last 21 years anyways. And, so he comes here and I just thought he was drunk, you know, and, so then he goes into the bathroom. He has some guy come and meet him here who is apparently his drug dealer. And, you know, the guy was obviously dropping off heroin. And so then my cousin goes into the bathroom, comes out of the bathroom, goes back into the bathroom. He's in there for like 15 minutes and I'm knocking on the door and I hear this yelp, right? And I'm like, what? This is all I need is for him to die in my bathroom, right? So I'm like, what the hell? So I bust in there and because believe me, I have had it with addiction, okay? Like opiates, I should say. So anyways, so I bust into the bathroom and he slumped over the sink and, you know, the works are around him, whatever, right? So I'm like, all right, I can't take this. I said, you gotta go. You gotta go home right now because this is not fair to me. And I just don't want to watch you kill yourself. I've been watching you kill yourself for the last 20 years. So he said, well, and then, but previous to that, he was reading his, semi-suicide notes to me on his phone. Oh. And he's like, well, if I die, it's going to be okay. I said, no. He said, I'll be fine when I'm dead. And I said, no, you won't be as far as I can tell. I said, listen, you better settle what you have to settle here on this side because it is not so easy to do on the other side. I go, believe me, you think you're going to go to some paradise by the beach? You're not. You're going to be in some kind of self-imposed hell that you have created on this earth. Not that I'm Billy Graham over here, but so I said, and when you get over there and you're in your self-imposed hell, don't come looking at me because I'm not going to friggin' help you. You know what I mean? But anyway, so the point is this. Everybody thinks, oh, you know, I'll just kill myself. I'll just, you know, and I'm not saying there's no punishment, I don't think, for suicides. I really don't. But let's look at some of the cases in this book, which are, okay, so one of them I want to start with here, if you don't mind, is that this kid he was a Marine and he had 3, you know, they call their, fellow, soldiers, you know, brothers. So he had 3 brothers in the war or wherever, I think he was in Iraq. I can't remember where he was. But anyway, so he saw the 3 of them die and he couldn't do anything about it. Nor could he retrieve the bodies because it was so, you know, difficult or, you know, precarious to do so at the time. So, he's at James Van Prague's show and, James Van Prague comes over because James Van Prague hears his grandmother saying, you got to tell my nephew to forgive himself because this is, you know, he's blaming himself for this, for these 3 soldiers that he knew dying, blah, 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 blah. And so the kid, his name was Jason. So Jason's like, wow, well, I mean, are they going to forgive me? And he goes, and James said, they've already forgiven you. They understood what had to happen. So, but the kid couldn't get over it. Jason couldn't get over that guilt that he felt and that he carried with him. Consequently, he killed himself, about a month after this reading. And, so anyways, the point is this. I believe that we do have to let go of, you know, I mean, I'm trying to think, I don't know if you or Chris can point to anything that you need to let go of or need to come to terms with before you before you pass on, I'm thinking about myself. What do I have to, maybe, I don't know what my problem is. Like Amy says, she's stuck here. She has unfinished business. Maybe you do, Amy. Maybe it's with your mother. Maybe it's with other things. I think Amy has said on occasion, the only thing she can't do in this life is kill herself. So
Can't even do that right.
What would we do without Amy? She's not going to get away, It's not going to happen. She's going to die by natural causes, whether she likes it or not. Amy's calling in too. Good, we've got a great show. But no, I agree with that. And I have read that book. Now I'm going to have to go find it in my vast bookcases and boxes of books and reread it. And there is a lot to be said for finishing up what we've got to do, all the unfinished business. It brings to mind what some people, individuals, I hate the term people, what some individuals have left and why. I don't understand why they've left it. Their life review is going to be a long, lengthy one. We know that. It's going to be, hard on them because they have to take a good, hard look at the repetitive actions that they've taken throughout their life and the regrets that they're going to have with what they've done and how they've left all those threads without knots in the end. You don't tie the knots off if you're embroidering, and so they fray. And so when you get over there are all these threads without knots in them. And that's the only way I can describe it because that's what I'm being shown. I have to write that down. Knots and threads. And so I wonder, and I know that their unfinished business is not going well because they can see what's going on here. Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they can't fix it now. The unfinished business is still unfinished. And it's like, boy, did I leave a boiling pot of mess down there. I didn't finish it the way it should have been done. I knew better, and yet I didn't have the courage to step up to the plate and swing that bat. I didn't have the courage to do what was right. Oh, boy.
Right.
Boy, I'm being channeled right now. I did not have the courage. Did not have the courage to do what was right. Mm-hmm.
Also, he says that there couldn't be anything further from the truth that when you are dead, you know all, and that you've healed. He said nothing could be further from the truth. Now, Keith, I'm sorry. I always say Keith when I want to say Heath. I'm sorry. Keith says, how do we do our review? Does someone or something review it with us? Now, from everything I've read over the years is that, yes, somebody does come and stands by you, to do your life review. But, can you imagine someone like, let's take Trump or the Bush family?
Mm-hmm.
So when they get there, they are, I believe that they will in fact know the harm and feel the harm that they cause to other people. All the deaths on the Bush's heads, all the pain that Trump might be causing or has caused or maybe is going to, hopefully not. But, you can't help but feel those things. And you're going to say, man, none of that crap mattered. None of the having, I'm preaching to the choir here with you and Chris because you guys are right in time with how I live. mindfully, I think I can say that about the three of us, but and even Amy, when she got sick with cancer, she realized after living a life of, might I say decadence,
that she, I was just rich.
Right. Okay. All right. You weren't decadent.
But I was poor as spirit. Well, it was the 70s. I don't know. No judgment. But, I had the weirdest thing happen. I had horrible migraine and things weren't going well. And I may or may not have over medicated, a couple of days.
You may or may not have.
May or may not have. And I couldn't figure out because when I get a migraine, I leave my body, I leave my body because you have to, because it's so painful. Anyway, so I wasn't sure it wasn't like I was trying to kill myself because I know I'm not allowed to kill myself. But I wasn't sure if I was dead or not because I was just so friggin' out of it from, just all the stress and then this migraine on top, if you remember the story, I got a migraine. My mother decides to help and get me ice, and then she fell. So then I got to have a migraine under the fluorescent lights of the ER without any insurance. So I couldn't take advantage of it anyway. So I couldn't figure out if I was dead or not. And and this just happened 2 days. This just happened 2 days ago. I know it sounds a little funny, but it was serious as all get out. And I realized that it didn't frickin' matter. It was such a revelation. It didn't, it didn't, not it didn't matter, it was okay. It didn't matter. Any kind of relief I thought I was going to get by leaving my body, I could get by leaving my body through meditation or something like that. And that there's so many lessons or assignments that we get that require the density of that require gravity. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
There's many grave things. That's why they call it gravity. They require gravity because in this period of time where I couldn't figure out if I was dead or alive because I was out of my body because of this migraine and because the rest of my life was swirling down the toilet. I had this clear realization of how important, because I was trying to, and I can't even remember what specifically it was, but it was something really important. It was something really important. It wasn't turn the TV on or something. It was just such a clear, and then finally, I guess whenever I wore off and I realized that I was indeed, alive, I was so grateful because for the period of time, whatever frickin' happened, I was trying to do things that work better in gravity, without gravity. And it wasn't working out very well. Does that make sense, ladies?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So, Amy, would you say that I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to interrupt. Would you say that just, in our body, in our human existence, you just basically, I think, said, yes, we have to work this stuff out here while we're here because that's,
right.
I don't know.
I felt like I was in some kind of purgatory thing or something. And, mind you, this was a combination of medication, sleep deprivation, and just horrible, horrible pain. And I had lost track of my body somehow because of the combination of those things, and thought I was dead and was scrambling to try to do something. It had to do with my son, and I don't even remember the specific of it, but I was trying to do something with my son, but I was like detached from my body, and it was like I wanted my body more than anything at that particular moment in time. I was so scared that I was dead. And it just became abundantly clear to me how important, because when we sit around and talk to the dead people all the time and, make up these fairy tales of what it's like over there on the other side, it starts sounding pretty freaking good, especially when especially when we're all here on assignment, and, the assignments assigned to the people who gather here every night at 10 o'clock are a lot of them are pretty heavy. Yeah, a lot of them are like advanced, like PhD or something. You know what I mean? But anyway,
so
that's all I want to say.
Yeah. So what I know about migraines is, because I suffer from them, like cluster migraines, whatever, was that the migraine takes you away anyhow, or mine do, like you've explained, Amy, and that when you're in that much pain, you're trying to wake up. My migraines put me to sleep. They'll knock me cold, and then you try and wake up, and you cannot wake up. You're sort of like in a limbo. And you're I'm put, what I would describe, into a holding pattern. And exactly, right?
Well, weird stuff happens because I can read my emails without my, when I have a really, really bad migraine, I can read my emails without my computer. I see them like scrolling.
It's like you're astral traveling, whatever. You're just
right.
Yeah.
Exactly, because you're out of body. Yeah.
Yeah, astral traveling. You know what's going on. You can hear, see, whatever, and yet the pain in your head is keeping you there. I've experienced that I don't know how many times, and it's so difficult. I like what you said about the lessons and the assignments we get that require the gravity of the situation, and it's the gravity. Hello, Chris.
That's the way to do it.
I didn't see you. I wasn't looking at the monitor.
I tried to verbally, a few times.
Why didn't you burp and say, excuse me?
I don't do that. I do not do that. I don't even accidentally burp. I totally have my burps under control. Nobody ever knows I just burp when I burp. Very important to be a quiet burper. Anyway, I just wanted to say, who's here for a reading, because I don't want to lose, maybe just one now. I thought I had someone else there. Donald Black Fox is in the house. How you doing, Donald? So Sharon is there. Sharon, you're on the telephone. Can you press 1-1 right now if you're waiting for a reading? I do not hear anybody pushing 1-1. Sharon, push 1-1 on your phone. Don't make me come over there and unmute you. Okay, I'm going to come over. Sharon, are you there?
I'm here.
Hello? Okay.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
Are you waiting for a reading?
I am. Sorry, I couldn't get to the keypad.
Oh, that's okay. No problem.
Phone.
So I'm going to park you quick, because before we do readings, You're going to be up real quick. We're going to do a song, a little break, a little song. We'll do that one reading, and then you guys can have the whole rest of the show, okay? Is that okay?
Yes, yeah. Fine by me. Corrine and Amy?
Yeah.
Okay. Amen. Oh, okay, I shouldn't. Okay, let's, I'm gonna play a sucky song. I'm gonna play a really sucky song. Okay, we have, Amy is there, Corrine, Christy Who, and CJ is Christy, Michigan, Dan, Deb, Diane, Donald, so the D's have it. Under the D, Donald. How you doing, Donald? Nice to see you here. Amy wants a reading also. So there's 3 readings. Sharon, Selva, Amy. Okay. Heath is here. Jen is our guest. Marie and Sharon will be on soon. Selva will be on soon and is my guest every Friday. And Terry, nice to see you, Terry. Very, very nice to see you. And so now, in order of, here comes Jen. Hi, Jen.
Hello.
Okay, so we'll just have you for quick to do the readings. How's that?
That's fine by me.
Okay.
I'll see what I can do.
All right. So let's go get Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Hey, it's Sherry.
Hi, Sherry. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good. What can we do you for?
I don't know. I just haven't talked to you in a while, so.
Yeah, are you moving?
Come on and say hello. I hope so, at one point.
I see moving in the future for you. That's what I got right away is moving. And there's a lot of, I don't know if it's scatteredness or scatteredness. It's almost like vertigo.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I explain it as I feel like I'm inside out. I feel like I'm upside down. I feel like I've landed in bizarro land. I've fallen. I can't tell you how many times I've fallen. It's like, it's weird going on, and I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, what I get is like a sense of vertigo around you. Like I am so dizzy talking with you. Like really dizzy, like I have to really hold on to something because I'm going to fall down. And everything is topsy-turvy, almost like going down the rabbit hole, right? Like, whoa, and you see yourself tumbling.
And that's how I feel, yeah.
You just want it to stop. Just stop now. You want to stop it from spinning out of control. And it will stop spinning soon. What I'm going to ask you to do is try and ground yourself, do a bit of meditation. And even if it's 5 minutes, do that, 5-minute meditations whenever you can. And also for grounding, just say I'm grounding myself now because that will work. Because that's bringing you back to the present, right? It's bringing you back to the here and now instead of letting other energies come in. I don't know if you've done any clearing, but it doesn't feel like you've done any clearing. And it's not something I normally say to anybody, but I really want you to clear some of your old energies off and start anew. Don't wait for the new year. Just start now. Start fresh now.
Okay.
Clear all that junk away. Clear all that junk away and start now. The color orange, deep, deep orange is with you, so your creativity is going to come out. And your passion is going to come out. It's like, it's like a patchwork quilt is going to, all the pieces are going to come together really soon, and it's going to be quite beautiful. When it's finished, it's going to be very beautiful. But because of the energies right now, everything isn't coming together the way you want them to. It's just all hodgepodge. Settle down and let them work themselves into their own pattern. I don't even do quilting, so I don't even know why I'm saying that. But that's what I'm being shown, is just let the pieces fall where they may, and they'll make it themselves into their own quilt, patchwork quilt. Let them do that. I'm told to give you 40 days and 40 nights.
Okay.
That's from the Bible.
Yeah.
I don't even know. You can look it up. 40 days, 40 nights, and I know Jesus walked into the desert and did meditation and sought
40
answers.
40 days, 40 nights was the ark, the flood, the ark.
Mm-hmm. So, take a good look at that. Okay.
Okay.
And, what's that? Hang on. There's some movie I'm supposed to give you. It's not The Grapes of Wrath, although that just jumped right in. I don't even know why. I think I've seen that play once or twice. Isn't that the one, is it The Grapes of Wrath? Is that the one with, Fonda?
That's another Bible one, isn't it? A Bible? Is it a Bible one?
Grapes of Wrath? I think so. I don't know. Grapes of Wrath, isn't that with Henry Fonda? I don't know. Does the name Henry mean anything to you? Henry Hank?
Henry. Not at the moment. Mm-mm.
Okay. But The Grapes of Wrath, it wasn't the movie I was going to give you that was showing it. But that's the name that came out. So I'm going to give you that too.
Okay.
And who's got smelly feet around you? Or who's got smelly feet in the room? Because I'm smelling smelly feet.
What could be my kitten that's sleeping in my lap? Who knows?
I'm smelling cigarettes, not around you, but I'm smelling cigarettes and smelly feet. So
well, now the cigarettes is a relative that used to come all the time.
Okay.
Until he made me so sick one time, and you told me about him, so it's a relative. It's my grandpa.
Okay. And the smelly feet, like it's probably your grandfather too then. And I can't remember what I've told you and what I haven't.
Right.
The smelly feet, like it's, he's taking his socks off. And he can put them right back on. Oh. So, there you go. That's what I've got for you. Does Amy or Corrine have anything?
Oh, I thought you were...
No, I can do it. That's fine.
Well,
there you go, Sharon.
Thank you very much. Well, that kind of confirmed the way I was feeling, because what you got, because that just couldn't figure that one out for me. So.
Well, I don't know. That's what I got. That's what I feel right around you. It's like vertigo. Just ground yourself, okay?
Yeah.
And give me a show sometime. We can talk.
All right. Well,
okay.
I appreciate it.
No
and
worries.
I'm going to be rude, and I'm going to hang up and go to bed since I have to be up at 5 or in 5 hours. So.
Go to bed. Get
some
sleep.
Thank you.
See you all later. Night.
Okay. Bye. Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Okay. All right. You're welcome. No problem. Salva's next. Hi, Salva. How are you?
Good. It's good to be here again.
Good to have
Salva.
You. Hi. What?
You sound so clear and loud. And happy. I'm laughing for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, that's nice.
There's a real joyful energy around you, unless that's just you.
That's just me. That's what you get. You see is what you get.
What you see is what you get. I get a lot of children's energy around you at the moment.
Yeah, I've got a couple.
I don't know why I'm yelling, but I am. So I've got a couple of children around you. And, hang on. Do you have any specific questions or?
No. Give me what you can.
Okay. Okay, so there's joyful energy coming off you. And I'm told that it's, generally all the time. Very rarely are you without that energy. You're very, joyful. And they keep saying that. Joyful person. You're also very punctual.
Oh, yes.
Very punctual. And they're emphasizing that. Punctual. So you like punctuality, you like things to be on time, on schedule, and you like the order of that or the way that works to keep things silly, in a timely manner. It makes life just that much easier. I'm being shown, well, a couple of things. An older man, an older woman. There is an operating room. I'm just giving you everything I've got because they're coming in strong. Older man, woman. It looks like an operating room, what we would call an operating room. You know what that is?
No.
Operating room is when you go in to get surgery, and they do surgery on you.
Oh, yeah, no, I do know what an operating room is, but I'm not relating to it, but yeah, go.
Okay, they're showing me that, an operating room, or what appears to be an operating room. Okay, it's like a bright room with big lights in the top.
Uh-huh.
And it looks to be from a hospital or an infirmary of some kind.
Mothership.
Mothership.
yeah, probably.
But that's what they're showing me. And has your mother passed or is grandmother?
Oh, no, my mum's very much alive. Yeah.
Then is your grandmother gone? Yeah,
Yeah,
grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm given the name with an R.
Nah.
No?
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, she's telling me a name with an R. And I'm asking her if it is attached to you, and she's saying yes, it is.
Not her name. It's just a name around her. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of anyone with an R, but I'll keep thinking.
Okay. And I don't know why she's telling me about propaganda, but she's talking about propaganda and news.
Mm. Okay.
Does farm country, what I would consider farm country or rural country, she's showing me fields, rural country, with some smaller, what I would consider mountains in the back, but hills, let's call them hills, because they're not really mountain.
Yep.
Okay, that's what she's showing me.
Okay.
And she's
I live
talking.
in a country town, so.
Pardon me?
I live in a country town with hills, so.
Okay, that's what she's showing me. And she's talking about news, and she's calling it propaganda. So I'm not sure why she's calling it propaganda, but she's calling it propaganda.
I wonder what she's talking about.
And she's very passionate about it, Salva. Very passionate. Hang on.
Stand by.
She's a watchful person. Observer. She's an observer. She watches. I don't see her talking too much, but she's very observant, or she was very observant. She's still observant, she says. She still watches. And she's showing me big eyes. Like always watching, always observing. She says, you do that too.
Yeah.
Always notice what's going on.
Yeah. I've never met her. She died 5 days before I was born, so.
Okay, but she says you do that. You always notice what's going on.
Yeah.
And she's leaving doors open. Doors open for you.
Good.
Opportunity is going to come knocking again. Take advantage of the opportunities. You do anyhow, she says, but take advantage of the opportunities. Even if they're not feeling right, take advantage of them because they will feel right. She's showing me the color turquoise and purple. So I don't know if there's turquoise or purple around you, but she's showing me those colors also.
Okay. Interesting.
She got
A lot of
anything to tell her?
Pardon me?
She got anything to tell her?
No, just that she's always watching. And that Selva's an observer, a watcher. Who's in the news that's she's talking about the R name again.
Sorry about that. Yeah. What was that about the name?
La Bamba.
La Bamba,
Richie Valens. There you go. There's your R. Richie Valens. You don't have a Richard, do you?
No.
No, she's being facetious. No, she's just, that's what she's coming through as the propaganda.
Is that I for dead?
Pardon me?
The R. The life for
R.
dead.
She's just talking R. I don't know. She's talking about the R. She's talking about propaganda or news issues with this person.
Okay.
Turquoise and purple.
Yep. Now, what were you saying about the news earlier?
Pardon me?
What did you say about news earlier?
News, she comes through with propaganda, so propaganda to me would be news. Like,
okay.
But she says propaganda, so propaganda to me is like pushing something on you and making you believe news stories that aren't necessarily the truth. It is what they're making you believe.
All right.
And so she's talking about the propaganda, and I don't know why she's so insistent upon that.
I'm sure it'll hit me in the head sooner or later.
O'clock in the morning.
Usually in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's all I've got for you, Selva. Sorry.
Hey, that's cool. That's cool. I'm a person. I don't like to ask questions, and I just like to listen because they will always tell you what you need. Not really what you want to hear, but you will get what you need to hear.
I know, and sometimes it's harder, because it just is. I don't know. She keeps pointing to eyes, watching, observing.
Yeah, it's very important to observe. And I don't like making assumptions. I like to observe and watch what's going on. And people are so interesting. So it's good. Yeah.
Well, that's what she's showing me eyes, pointing to eyes,
Yeah.
Watch, observe, pay attention. And I guess the propaganda is don't believe everything you read or see. Do some research. Do a bit of digging.
I can guarantee you it'll be I see because I don't read. I mean, I find it very boring. You know, it takes too long. You know, I'm one of these persons that I grab a book, I feel it, I get what I want of it and put it down. I haven't got time to read or watch the news or anything like that. So
then you're going to be hearing it or seeing it. You're going to be hearing it or seeing it then, guaranteed.
Yeah. Look, people always have stuff, and that's why you've got to be careful. You've got to be very cautious. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for calling and thanks for listening in.
Hey, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. And you take care.
Thank you, Salva.
It's tomorrow night then. Hey, Salva?
What was that?
See you tomorrow night.
Yep, see, I will be looking at you, that's for sure.
All right. We'll see you then. Thank you very much. And, hey, Amy, unmute your damn self here. There you go. Amy's turn.
Sorry. I was doing work. Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. Okay. So this can be quick because I am just trying to reach. Talked about this person the other day. This John Joseph. He died in 1890. He died like 1896, and he's my great grandfather's brother. So either him or any of the people from that little posse of people.
And his name is what?
John Joseph.
Okay, what the smell I get right away is of manure, like organic manure, cattle, or farm manure.
Well,
so
he's a blacksmith. So
oh, was he a blacksmith? Okay, because I'm getting the manure around him, and I'm seeing straw. It's organics, right? What I would consider organic. Straw.
Well, they lived in New York City, but it was like the 1800s.
So it's straw, manure, horse, sheep, cattle dung, all of that, like in stalls. And that's what I would consider organic. And that's what I'm being shown. Organic matter. John Joseph?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's Vincent also, right?
Right. Vincent. There's three Vincents.
Who's the Vincent with the middle name?
They all have the same middle name, Francis.
Of course they do.
But I know what you're talking about. The one with the middle name. I know exactly who you're talking about. Okay, that would be the one. That was the brother. That was the brother of this. Brother of the John Joseph.
Okay.
If they were more formal.
What I'm being shown are like meat hooks. You know what those are, hanging from the ceiling?
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
Meat hooks. Hang on. He died young, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they all die young.
All die young.
Yeah. The men,
they died young.
They all
The Kavanaughs died young.
Like 48 was old. But this John Joseph died at 26.
And what did you want to know from him, Amy? How he died? Why he died?
How he died, right? How he died, and or we can talk to Vincent. Like, this seemed to have been a real turning point. It seemed to have been a real turning point in the family.
Who's burning lavender right now, or is that around you?
Oh, there's lavender lotion on the floor, like by my foot. That I was getting ready to use, but I had to drop because Chris barked that it was my turn for a reading. I got scared, so I dropped it.
Oh, because I'm smelling lavender as you were talking about them. Okay, and I didn't know if that was from you or if that was from them. So, or if it was from someone else in the room. Okay, one of them was very creative, and gosh. I'm being shown the water.
Right. They lived right on the water.
Okay.
And they also spent like 2 months in a boat getting here. And then,
no, this isn't on the boat. This is like on the shore near the water. Okay, Amy?
Right. That's where they lived. That's where they lived.
Okay. And one of them grew old before his time. There's back issues,
right,
kidney issues.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see, that's the thing, is that it set this pattern, because when the older brother died, the younger brother like just lost it. And he ended up getting, he just ended up
was there something like a suicidal or
slow suicide, like slow suicide? Like
yeah, because I'm getting like a
and then it repeated itself with Vincent, my uncle Vincent. He died when he was 48, and then my father was never the same. Slow suicide.
Yeah, because I'm getting suicidal. I wrote down suicidal.
Yeah, we're suicidal.
What's the Chattanooga Choo-Choo? Oh, we've already talked about that, didn't we?
Well, that's the other side. You see, that was the side of the family that thought they were all that.
Because I'm getting the trains in there again.
Right, remember?
I do. As soon as I said that, because that was they don't want to be left out.
That was the Danish people, and they like forbid, they like cut off all contact with the Irish people.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Irish people were, not only were they Irish, they were Catholic, and they were loud. Loud. But what's interesting is that since that we got cut off from the Irish people,
mm-hmm.
but like so much of history, like I'm Catholic and my kids are Catholic and Keith is Catholic and my cousin's Catholic, converted, like all converted, and so like we married Irish, gravitated to, we like gravitated to Irish stuff, even though we were like, the Irish people, they were shunned because they were, but they weren't alcoholics because they had been very successful for many, many generations, very, very upwardly mobile until this incident where John Joseph died young, and then we had this pattern of two brothers who were super close. One dies young, the other one goes into a slow free fall, alcohol-induced free fall. So.
Okay, what I'm asking and what I'm getting is John Joseph fell in love, wanted to get married, thought he had a future.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was class. It was like classic, like straight off, straight out of the movies.
Yeah.
Coming to America for a better life because their father died when they were little. We have this whole great big history of the men dying. But this John Joseph guy, I found his grave, and I can't find an obituary, and I can't find a death certificate. So that was that. But
I'm not seeing family with him. I'm not like his own family, like wife, children,
right? Because
whatever.
the rest of them were in. It was just the two boys who came over. The rest of them were in.
I thought he had a future. I'm not sure what happened to him. I'm extremely cold, though, Amy. So that would tell me like he had
fell in the water.
Well, I've got suicidal drowning, but I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it was accidental or if it was intentional. Like back then there was so many things happening, right? Incidental.
Yeah, it's hard to stay alive back then.
It was, especially with what was going on. You said he was a blacksmith or a silversmith? Because I'm being shown two things. A lot of silver. Hang on, please. There's something to do with his lungs. There was a lot of silver around him.
A lot of silver, like money.
Money.
Fast money. In America.
Yeah. Money. I'm being shown a lot of silver coin. Silver.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there was already there was a lot of people, there was a lot of like uncles and stuff already here, and they were all what would I call it? Upwardly mobile. They were like upwardly mobile. They weren't. They were doing really well for themselves. So yeah, that I get it. I get what you're saying.
Okay, where did he live? Because where he was at, besides in the barn or the whatever organic matter, it's dusty, very hard to breathe. Like his lungs, their throat is filled with dust or dirt or something,
Mhm.
Hard to get rid of it.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know what that would be, right?
Well, that gives me some more stuff to work with because we did this once before. With my genealogy, and that's when we found, that whole story about the Danish people coming to have like a worse life in America. But
he might have worked
pointed me to the railroad, and that was really helpful. So everything you've shared so far, that'll be very, very helpful. Now I can just go do some more research based on that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Where's Chris?
Right.
Chris is having her beer, I think. I don't know. Or her Baileys.
Oh.
Or her cider.
Well, can you guys not hear me or what?
No, I can't hear you. You didn't put your hand up. I wasn't looking at the screen. I write when I'm talking because everything floats, right? And then I don't stutter.
You guys have the last half hour all to yourself.
Okay, so let me read the screen. Deborah had a... What did you do, Deb? You had a bumper. You had a fender bender. Deb. I hope you're okay. I hope you're okay. So where's Corrine? And where's Amy?
I think I'm here.
Yeah. Therefore I am. I think I'm here, therefore I am.
Hey, remember that at the beginning of that Moody Blues song? I think, therefore I am. Wait, was that at the beginning of Nights in White Satin? That is so bringing me back to my teenage years.
Oh my God. Nothing could make me want to go back to my teenage years. Nothing.
Oh, God. Moody Blues, I think I was given an 8-track of them at one time.
Well, I loved the Moody Blues because I was somewhat of a wannabe hippie when I was 13, 14, 15, 16.
Didn't we all want to be?
So one night I was in my cellar listening to probably Pink Floyd The Wall, and my father, I was on the phone with this guy that I was in love with that was like Charles Manson. He was a freaking weirdo. Anyway, so my father called me upstairs and I thought I was getting in trouble, but he actually was bringing me home the double album of the Moody Blues, whatever that album that was. Days of Future Past, I think. But I was like, oh my God. So I went back downstairs on the phone and I said to the guy, my father just got me, brought me this Moody Blues, double album. And, it's a nice memory,
That's
I was
cool.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I bring up one more instance in this James Van Praagh book about, what happened? Yes. So there's a story he relays in here about these, he was at a show doing, open readings and there was 3 women there and one young boy showed up behind one of the women and, he said, tell my mom I'm okay. So as it turns out, he and 2 other boys, all the mothers, the 3 mothers had lost their children, their sons, in like accidents. So they're all around 18 or 19 when they died. And, so the kids were saying, so the mothers were like, yes, we lost our sons and, that's why we're together here tonight. And so the son said, you guys are so heartbroken about us dying so young, but we want you to know why we had to correct what we did. And so this is so interesting. The boys were all really into Vietnam. Now this just happened like 10 years ago. The boys were really into Vietnam. They didn't know why, but they loved the movie Platoon and they loved this other Vietnam War movie. And also they had 2 girlfriends that were also very interested in Vietnam. So the kid, the one who was, one of the dead boys, said to James that, in fact, him and the 2 other boys were soldiers in Vietnam. And one night they went around and they looked for people to harass. And they were looking for what he called gooks, Gooks, right? which was, I guess, the Vietnamese people. And so they found a car with two people in the car. There was three of them in Vietnam, and they found a car, and they lit the car on fire so that the people in the car burned to death. And so the dead boy, I know this is confusing, the dead boy relays to James Van Praagh that they had to right that wrong. So they all died in a car accident with fire. They all died together, actually, the three boys. And so they had to right that wrong. Now, as it turns out, like I said, the two girls that they were friends with were also really into Vietnam and blah, 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 blah. And they were very good friends with these three guys that died in the car wreck. So I find that so interesting. Now, we don't know if this is true or not, but isn't that because we don't know why things happen to people, such as these, tragic events, right? You guys, maybe it's just the universe balancing itself out, or the spirit of the person wanting to make it right, such as these three young men. So what do you think of that? I mean, I don't know.
When you say tragic events and the universe balancing itself out, it's funny that the story you tell is about, three mothers sitting there, with a son standing behind one. Today or this month is, it's so hard to talk about. 10 years ago, a young boy was killed walking home from school. He was hit by a vehicle, and he was killed instantly. His parents are good friends of ours. And actually, his dad's been in the chat room, Bob Collins. And every year there's a hockey tournament in Nick's name, out of something tragic, something positive, or whatever has come about. Mm-hmm. And, there's a bus stop was built in a weekend for Nick. And a big hockey tournament's held every year for the last 10 years. Scholarships are put out, or bursaries are put out, whatever, for, sports equipment is provided to players that can't afford it. Money has been raised,
right,
for people that can't afford it. And, when you said that, Corrine, it just, nothing is to me is coincidental. I just read a big write-up today in the local paper about, Jan and Bob and Nick. It was about Nick's tournament. And for you to bring this forward, it's funny. It's, it smacked me right between the eyes. It's like, wow, how could you possibly bring something like that up? I stopped right then and there, and I don't know why. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah, so do you think that because, nothing is, no, but Jen, this as well as everyone listening probably, mm-hmm. that nothing is what it seems to be. And this kid killed, on his way home. Was it something like this? We don't know. But I kind of have to I don't believe that the, like, what did Einstein say? That God plays dice with the universe. I think that things happen as they are meant to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, could it be something like that with this kid? How old was he? 15 or something?
15 and a half to the day.
Okay.
Things happen
Yeah.
for,
I mean, so could,
they're written perhaps, right? They're written. And, that was, we can say that was Nick's legacy. This is what Nick wrote before he left or before he came. This is what he was coming down to teach everybody. And so this is what these three young men were here to do. Leaving music or thought, words, deeds behind. And what kind, I guess I'm just sort of, all that we're taught and all what we know, and I'm sort of stuck for words at the moment, obviously, is what kind of unfinished business does a 15-year-old have? What kind of unfinished business would these young men have?
well, that was their unfinished business, is that in their former life, apparently, if we believe what we read in the book, is that they had killed two innocent Vietnamese people, and they felt they had to, make up for that. They had to level that somehow, and so they were killed very young, and in a fiery crash that they burned in as well. Now, it all sounds so very neat, right? But here's one example that I heard from a woman about a man who was still struggling because of his last life. All right, so there's this guy who was an alcoholic, and in his last life, he was in the war. He was in World War II. I think it was World War II. It might have been World War I. But the only pain reliever that they had at that time was a whiskey bottle being passed around from one person to the other. He died in pain in the infirmary, waiting for the whiskey bottle to get to him. Consequently, his next life, or maybe it was the 2 lives from then, I'm not sure. His next life, he's an alcoholic because he could never get the alcohol he needed for the pain. That makes complete sense to me,
It does and it doesn't. It does and it doesn't to me. I don't know about that. It resonates and yet it doesn't. There's something, it's too neat. It's too neat. Is life that neat and tidy? Is it really that simple?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I'm not sure. Yes, it does. But, like that saying, truth is... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, that saying, truth is stranger than fiction? Indeed it is. Because if I was to write that as a storyline to one of my books, nobody would believe that because they'd say, this is hokey. But sometimes it is as simple as that. But I know what you're saying, Jen, because, in some ways it's like, how could it be that clear cut, for God's sake? You know what I mean? But I think that we look past the simple many times because we think it's more difficult when it's really not. I'll just say that, you know what I mean? Like, I think that we make things way more difficult than they have to be. We see things, we try to tear them apart. But yeah, like he says, humans complicate a lot. That's for sure. We do. We complicate things. Could it be as simple as that? And could it be that when you're in hell on earth, that, you just have to turn around and see the light, like in the hereafter, you just have to turn around. Could it be that simple? Maybe it could,
True. I've been taught that sometimes you don't see the forest through the trees, right? that it's very simple. Sometimes you just look at the tree and a tree is a tree. Plain and simple. A tree is a tree. And that's okay. And, but, there's the big but. And truth is stranger than fiction. It is, you just look at it and you think, you couldn't have written anything more weird than what has just happened. And so having said all that, we look at alcohol as an addiction. We're taught that alcoholism is a disease. And so if we want to go through with the premise that, someone takes a whiskey bottle in the next life because he didn't get as a painkiller in the first life or in the 20s or whatever year it was, the year doesn't matter. How do we explain then why someone has, like your dad did and my mom did, Alzheimer's, why someone has Lyme's disease or asbestosis, or how does that all figure in? Like, this to me is, or is the asbestos, mesothelioma something to do with, being a coal miner and not, living that part through? I don't know.
Right. And I think we probably will not know the exact true answer until perhaps we're, a spirit only, not humans. Now, Terry says in the chat room that she disagrees. That would mean that our desire carries over to our next life. I disagree. Desires are not anything that has to do with soul purposes. But these incidents you speak of do make strange stories. Someone's sole purpose could be to do something so wrong that it teaches a lesson to all that observe it. I agree with that, Terry. But I do believe that our desires from a last life can carry over to this life, because those are strong, desire is a strong friggin' thing. You know what I mean? And like Amy says, I think desires carry forth to our ancestors. So we don't know where these things come from. Obviously, everyone's an individual. People take certain things on and other people don't for some reason. We don't know what the ground rules are here. You know what I mean?
I know. Is it nature versus nurture, right? I was watching different programs and, someone who's been adopted, and they search for their biological family, and they find out that the child they gave up has the same name as the father, or the father's middle name. And you just think, how weird is that? Mm-hmm. They find each other, and they're given the same names, twins that are split up at birth and are adopted out, and they're brought back together, or siblings. And there's so many similarities in their lives as they grew up miles and miles apart. And so, it makes sense to me that we would do that with lives, past lives, and maybe future lives. Because maybe we can do that. Obviously we can, if we want to go on that thread. And it's patterns. Yeah, the patterns are amazing. And then, but the desires, what Terry was saying is, the soul purpose could do something so wrong that it teaches a lesson to all that observe it. And I go to that and I look at the fellow that hit Mick, and he wasn't charged with anything. It was an accident. It was, and then the truth starts coming out later. And apparently the guy has, and who knows the real story, but apparently he lost his job. He lost his family. He lost everything. He was homeless. And it was all to do with, probably doing some drugs or something. I don't know the true story, but it's everybody was taught a lesson. You don't drink and drive, you don't text, you don't take your eyes off the road, you keep your eyes on the road and your hands upon the wheel. It's old Doors song, right? And it's the lessons that were taught. And do those carry on?
Right. Right. Oh, well, I would hope so. I don't think an addict will always be an addict through their incarnations, but I believe there's a turning point. Like, I'm trying. All right. So I'm trying to point to myself right now for a second. I'm trying to say, what do I have to learn? What did maybe I take on? The most prevalent problem in my life is, what is it? being in love with somebody that isn't right for me. Did I take that on from my last life? Maybe I did. Maybe I always have to prove myself to men that are unworthy of me. Maybe that's my lesson. I'm not sure what my lesson is. If you could say something, Jen, what would it be? What would be your lesson in this life? I mean, I can't even see what lesson you might need to learn, nor Chris, but what would your lessons be, you guys?
Chris?
I have to, that's it. It has to be, although the last is overcoming the odds. If there's a lesson, purpose is different from lesson, in my opinion.
Yes, that's true.
So my purpose is, I think, to be a helper of people in many different ways. Throughout my life, I have been, but the lesson, I think, because so many times I've just been crushed beyond ridiculousness and come back, you know what I mean? And so, rising from the ashes. But I'm not doing so good this time. All the other times I did pretty good. But this time, I don't know, it's a little harder.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're not doing good?
Well, no, I just mean from the previous times in my life where I've just been squashed like a bug. I come back, I get right back up, I get going, I get, whatever. And this time that hasn't been the case. And so,
I think mine would be believing in myself. I don't know. Self-worth. You're called a loser so many times. Even if you win, you're a loser. That you begin to believe it, right? And you wonder what.
Right, but
yeah. And so you're waiting for the next kick to come. You're waiting for the next kick to come.
Right. So perhaps Jen, your lesson is to know that it does not matter what other people say to you. Other people's opinions don't frickin' matter.
I tell my kids that all the time.
You have
to believe it, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. I think one of the hard. Yeah. I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think one of the hardest lessons, and me and Renee were talking about this one day, one of the hardest lessons there is to this human life is to love yourself unconditionally. it's like, I even cower when I think about saying to myself, Corrine, you're so beautiful. You're so smart. I'm like, oh my God, what? And then I'm like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, why can't I believe I'm wondrous and amazing? Why can't I believe I'm a miracle? What is telling me that I can't believe that stuff? That I can't really take it into my heart. It's me that's not letting it happen. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Amy, you went so quiet.
Amy, she wrote about Canadian geese. She called them ducks. They were Canadian geese.
Sorry, I'm doing work, and then I'm doing work. What was the question?
How many?
Wait, I knew the question 2 seconds ago, but then I always get scared when Chris yells at me.
We all get scared when
like, oh my God, because I'm trying to keep the phone on mute so that because I have a tendency to monopolize the conversation. Okay. I mean, I remember the whole I remember the whole premise, but was there a specific question?
Well, what is your lesson?
Purpose? My purpose, my lesson.
Not your purpose, your lesson to be learned in this life.
Oh, that having a body is a good thing. That because I have through past life I've killed myself in other trips down here, and I've tried to kill myself a bunch of times this time down here, and it's just to understand, to have gratitude for gravity. That's it. Gratitude for gravity. G squared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, and Chrissy was saying,
Good and bad, like now I don't have any money, but it's like, whatever, I don't have any money. Is it fun? Not my favorite thing, but, is it like, I don't know what I'm going to do? No, it's like, it's just to be grateful for, to learn to live with my body. I have had such problems with my, I had eating disorder. I just have such, a hard time. I have such a hard time being in a body. And,
right. So
and that's why I'm here, is just to learn, what it's good for, what it's not good for, how it works better. Just to learn to live in a body.
Right.
Teaches us not to keep our head out of the clouds and to walk properly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess sometimes it's okay to have your head in the clouds, but you can't live. Like, I couldn't understand why. I was always horrible in gym. I was a horrible dancer, and I couldn't understand. Even though I was a hockey coach, I couldn't skate. And it's because my center of gravity is like in the stratosphere, so it's just like, settle into my body, to not be, I'm so afraid of being in a body. It feels like trapped. It feels like, so that's it. And it's just becoming more and more, in this incident I had a couple nights ago, whatever, where I actually wanted my body. I was out of my body, and I wanted my body. I was scared that I was dead. That was like a big That was a big thing for me.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, that sounds great that you experienced it. Just like you're experiencing not having any money right now, and you said to me earlier, I have to think. I have to be creative. And, you got to think. You can't just like fall asleep and just let things be as they are and continue to do what you're doing. You actually have to be awake for this.
Right.
Right.
I have to be awake for this, and I have to be in my body. I have to be present. Right. I have to be, so it's really, it's kind of a lot of fun.
Mhm. I also love having no money. No, I'm only kidding.
Not a lot of fun. It's not a lot of fun. It's more fun.
Everyone's got
I
extra
really
throw it this way.
enjoying it, and I'm enjoying how money is just, how money just. I'm enjoying watching it.
Good idea. Go reverse psychology with the law of attraction. If law of attraction and law of abundance is not working for you, then go the opposite. And like if the universe is conspiring to not give you what you want, then ask to be poor. You know what I mean? And then it'll make you rich because it doesn't want to give you what you want. I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not.
Don't get me wrong.
Money's great, but I don't think I was learning my lessons. Because when I had a lot of money, I didn't have to be in my body.
Right.
I could hire someone to be in it.
Mm-hmm. No shit, man. However, you guys, let's face it. In this life, as humans, as we all are right now, we also have to have some friggin' fun. We have to recognize joy and miracles.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta
do miracles that. Do happen.
Every freaking day they happen. It's like, man, we're so fortunate. So fortunate,
Well,
So I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer here. I hope I don't sound like Debbie Downer.
But what happens is when our circumstances get tough, we stop believing in magic. Like when we don't get what we want, the car to start or the boy or the this or the that. We stop believing in magic, and then if you don't believe in magic, life is not fun.
No, but we can...
Right,
that's true. We have to talk to ourselves friendly, though. Give a gentle reminder, I think. And that's hard to do. I know it is, because most of us have been there, like on the downside of it, if we're honest about it. And we have to give ourselves gentle reminders and say, we have to keep the faith. The faith in whatever it is, we keep the faith that it's going to, we're going to get back to that higher spot. And we have to continue to be grateful for what we've got. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. On an hourly basis, we have to be grateful. We have, and I think, like, I don't know, I say thank you constantly. I'm like, thank you. And you guys probably do too. And, but man, it's like, and we also have to recognize that because we don't know why things happen, just assume kind of that, you got to kind of assume that it's happening for a freaking good reason. You know what I mean? And we can't see it right now, but Jesus, you are probably saved from a whole lot of crap by this happening, in your life. Even though it seemed like a terrible thing at the time, it's really, something very wonderful, and to propel you onward into, more, revelations and discovery and illumination, so to speak, But
Yes.
we don't know. So, but you know what? It's okay, because we're patient. We're learning,
I think if we remind ourselves of that, then it's easier. Right?
Yeah. 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 I know. And, but so Jen and Amy and Chris, what would you say to someone that is suffering from, something terrible like, I'm going to just bring up the C word, cancer, or something, another medical, thing. It's like, I often think to myself at night, like how, it's hard to address that with people, because you're like, okay, well, you what do you say? I mean, how do you try to make them feel better?
You say, we're not going to let it bring you down. This is what we're going to do. We're going to beat this. And we're going to, I talked about this today. It's funny you're bringing all this stuff up, Corrine. It's like you were sitting in the car with me while I was talking to friends or doing whatever. And I did this with my cousin, I don't even know how many years ago now. 10. And she was diagnosed with breast cancer the same day my mom was buried, I guess. And when I found out, it's funny the little things we do. I went home and I baked lasagna, and I took a lasagna over to her house, and I said, I heard. And so we sat down and talked, and I said, my sister is one of the best chemo nurses around, and you're to phone her and talk to her, and which is, her cousin also. And so she did that, and we made a plan, and I call it her year of sabbatical leave. I don't give that year a name or a date or anything. I don't give that time any power, except it was the year of getting to know each other, getting to know each other again, of having so much fun, whether it was driving to chemo appointments or just hanging out and having wonderful conversations about everything and anything, and laughing so hard about the frailties of life or anything that we found funny, and we still do. If something funny happens, the first person I call would be Daphne to say, "Oh God, someone fell today," and if I'm laughing that hard, my husband will say, "Oh, you're talking to her, aren't you?" And her husband will say, "Oh, you're talking to Jenny." And it's just that's what I do. It's we're going to make a plan, and this is how we're going to overtake it. And we're not going to let it bring us down.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Make a lasagna and take it over and make a plan. Doesn't have to be lasagna, but
kind
that's
of like thinking like where people talk about see, I don't believe in ghosts, but for people who do believe in or entity, there's entities. I don't even know what a ghost is, but like entities, like there's this evil, you ask the cancer, like, why are you here? Why? Just like get to know it. Why are you here? Same thing. Like there's these stories like where these people, their home and their house is getting robbed, and these little old ladies have the robber sit down for a cup of tea and ask them their life story. Just ask it why it's here.
Right.
Yeah, the other night, okay, here we go. The other night I sat up in bed, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I yelled, "Hello!" I know. I don't know who was there, but they'd obviously got my attention because I could feel them pulling on my feet. And I sat up and I, "Hello!" And I thought, who the heck is this? And I thought, I'm trying to sleep here. Leave me alone. And I look over and I think God I didn't wake him up. Didn't wake anybody else up, right? And I have no idea who it was, but all I do know is that someone was trying to get my attention, and they got it. But so I don't know who pulls feet, but boy, don't do that at 2 a.m. because then you're left lying awake.
No.
So
no
what would you call that, Amy?
Rude.
Or 4 a.m. Yeah, how rude. How rude is that? Like, if you're going to wake me up, be kind about it. Don't pull feet. But I can remember trying to, no, like, go away. And then it was like, no.
Yeah, like you can tell someone, you can, instead of just like shutting it off, like, putting your head in the sand, you can, like when I think about cancer, for cancer specifically, because like I spend a lot of time around, when you have cancer, you spend a lot of time around other people who have cancer because you go to the doctor a lot and you go sit in these chemo rooms and then you go to support groups and stuff. And like, I noticed that there's just people, they know every single level, they know every single thing, and they make a freaking altar to their cancer. And I don't know how I didn't have any idea what I was doing. But I didn't do that. I was like really non-compliant. I was really non-compliant because I would just like supposed to go for chemo and stuff, and I wouldn't go. And but I also didn't. But it wasn't like with false, whatever, bravo, whatever that word is, either.
Bravo.
Same thing like when Jen woke up, it was like, you can come back some other time. It's not, you're not welcome here. You could screamed at it, like, just get the fuck out of, it's hard. Get out of here. You didn't tell it could never come back. It was just sort of like, now's not the right time. So, and I think we can do that with everything. We can have a tendency to either obsess about our problems and have our problems suddenly define us, or sometimes we just I've got a couple of problems that I just put my head in the sand and I forget that they're not like the car's making noise, you just turn the radio up. That's the other end. It's like, have a healthy curiosity. Have a healthy curiosity about all these things that happen.
Yeah.
I think it's the way, because the cancer analogy is a good one. And I see these people, just make total alter. They could tell you every single thing. Half the time I don't even know what they're talking about. I didn't know any of the jargon that went along with my variety of cancer. So I can't, like those people, I just look at them like, I don't know. Anyway, the end.
And I see
well, no, that's, sorry.
Diane, I see you there. If you want to chime in, feel free to.
I am going to, hang on guys, I'm going to call it a night.
Okay, thank you, Jen.
Thank you guys very much. It's been a wonderful evening. Great chatting with you guys.